am Jonathan Knight. This is B-Movie Madness. Happy Halloween. Now, I hope you have a really great Halloween. Please eat lots of candy. Remember to brush your teeth, though, too. And watch lots of scary movies. I know you're probably going to watch some of the Halloweens, some Trick or Treat, some cartoons like the Charlie Brown. It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And as much as I love me some Halloween, I love me some Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. One of my favorite 80s horror movies in general, but you gotta give some of the cheesier Halloween horror movies a love. You just got to, because some of them are just so damn charming that they're hard to ignore. And the one I'm going to talk about tonight is one that I grew up with, that I have a lot of fond memories of, and was shot here in Florida. I believe it was shot in Orlando, but let's get the trash can. Oh, you can't smell that yet, but there's a lot of cheddar coming from here. Oh, dear lordy. It's the one and only, the legendary Jacko. Now, if you've never seen Jacko before, let me tell you about Jacko. Jacko is a 1995 slasher horror movie about a wizard who was put to death, and he summons a demon called Mr. Jack the Pumpkin Man to go after the descendants of the family that put him to death on Halloween night, of course. And that's about it. This movie was produced by Fred Olen Ray, and it was directed by Steve Latshaw. And this is his collection. Dark Universe, Biohazard 2, and Jacko. But Jacko is my favorite movie of this set. But as for Jacko, I watched this. I first saw this when it came to video in 1995. My mom and pop video store had it as a new release. So we rented it, and I loved it. I thought it was fun. And then when the video store, unfortunately, it was a mom and pop video store, went out of business, it was one of the tapes that we bought. So I, unfortunately, no longer have that tape. And hopefully it found a good home. But I don't know. So there's quite a few regrets involving my tapes that I don't want to talk about. But, Jacko, whenever I started collecting DVDs, I did have a DVD of it, not this DVD. It was a burn-on-demand thing. It had a commentary track. It was a widescreen, but it was like the hard-matted widescreen. You could tell it was supposed to be in full frame. This edition, which is autographed by Steve Latshaw, is actually full frame. The other films are too. It has commentary tracks and all that. Excuse me. But as for Jacko, what do I like about Jacko? Well, Jacko, is definitely a very low-budget movie. But what makes Jacko so much fun is I really like the backstory and the mythology of Jacko itself, Mr. Jack the Pumpkin Man. It's one of my favorite 80s horror movies. As much as I love Pumpkinhead, though, I remember as a kid being kind of disappointed that he wasn't. I thought it would be a pumpkin-headed man, and it wasn't. Pumpkinhead is an awesome monster, but as a kid, when you hear the name, I kept on thinking Pumpkinhead. Jacko finally, gave me that pumpkin-headed man, though. And although it's nowhere near as good as a movie as Pumpkinhead is, it's still a very entertaining movie. But the backstory mythology of Mr. Jack is actually a lot of fun. Jacko himself looks pretty cool. The pumpkin head, in some shots, the mouth and the eyes move. It does glow, inside the eyes and the mouth glow. Himself, he just looks really cool. He's a cool-looking villain, He definitely does a good job at being a pumpkin-headed madman. But the mythology and the backstory is pretty cool. The kills are fairly bloody for the most part. Most of them are just simply done, sickle to the gut, throat slit, blood gags. But there is a really cool decapitation, and the head itself looks actually pretty decent for, I'm guessing, with the low budget they had. In the acting for the most part is not very good for the most part. They do their job, and they are convincing enough. Linnea Quigley has a pretty big supporting part in this, and she's fantastic. She has a very great, really long shower scene that it's simply amazing. It's just a joy to watch. But she's probably the best actress in this movie. Everyone else is Steve Latshaw's son plays the main kid, and he is not very good. To be fair, He really probably wasn't an actor. He was just probably helping his dad out, which I think is really fucking cool. I would have done the same thing if I was in that position. But he's not very good. And the mother makes these really weird faces in the movie. The descendant of the wizard, warlock wizard, she's okay. I mean, everyone else is okay, pretty bad okay. But the best actress in the movie is definitely Linnea Quigley. And of course, Jacko is pretty cool. He just walks around killing people, but still, he does a really good job at it. The movie does a fairly decent job at just looking very Halloween enough. It's not extremely Halloweeny. It's not, you know, Trick or Treat, Halloween 4. You know, the opening of Halloween 4, I always think of that when I think of, like, Halloween feeling. This, you know, considering they probably shot this not in October, they did a fairly decent job. I know the director mentioned in an interview that he had trouble finding he had pumpkins, but he had trouble making sure they didn't spoil. So I think it's Halloweeny enough, considering it could have been more Halloweeny, but probably because they didn't have much of a budget, they did what they could. What matters is, do they deliver Jacko killing people? And, well, they do that. Jacko rams his sickle into people. I think it's a sickle. He decapitates a few people, slices throats open. He kills some assholes, you know. He does a fairly decent job for, you know, a fairly obscure horror villain, which is sadly obscure. But I know a lot of people have seen this movie, but it's people in my own circle that have seen it. But yeah, Jacko is a lot of fun. There's a lot of cameos in it. John Carradine and Cameron Mitchell. Stuff they did like years before that Fred Olen Ray probably shot just for backup, and they inserted into this movie, which for the most part they do a fairly good job inserting the stuff into the movie. So the John Carradine stuff I think was filmed before he passed away. Well, of course it was filmed before he passed away, but I think it was filmed only nearly 10 years before. And then, like, the close-up shots is definitely him, but the far more further away shots, you can tell it's a double. But it's not a bad-looking double. It's not super obvious, but, you know, Carradine was in quite a few Fred Olen Ray productions that he probably had no idea he was part of. You know, the stuff that they filmed, like, decades before, and they just inserted later on. Which, I mean, it was fairly common to do that. You know, Cameron Mitchell is like a horror host. He was pretty good as well. Brink Stevens has a cameo in the movie. Her thing was an unrelated project that, much like the other people, they inserted into the movie, which, again, you know, they inserted it well, because it's supposed to be a fake movie within, like, the movie. But it's well done. It's you know, for, you know, what they had. And the movie, I believe, was shot in Orlando, Florida, so it's a Florida horror movie, which I'm always interested in checking out pretty much any horror production that's filmed in Florida. But if you want a fun slasher movie that takes place on Halloween that actually has a pumpkin-headed madman, boom. You could do worse than Jacko. And I think there is worse pumpkin monster movies than Jacko. I can't really think of any because I probably just trying to forget them. The movie I was going to review was Death o' Lantern, which is a shot-on-video homage to 80s horror that Chris Seaver directed, but Tony Masciello just did that one recently, and I didn't want to feel like I was jumping on his coattails, so I was like, Jacko. I'm a huge fan of Jacko, so I'll do Jacko. Sorry if I sound like I have a cold. I'm just, you know, feeling all But, yes, this is the Seed Latshaw collection, if you're interested. It has 2 discs. I believe Jacko's on disc 1, and then disc 2 is the other 2 movies, which is Biohazard 2 and Dark Universe, which are also a lot of fun. If you like rubber monster shoots, which, who doesn't, you will like this movie. You will like those movies. But yeah, if you just want to see a pumpkin-headed madman slice people up for an hour and a half, while watching Linnea Quigley take a very, very long shower, you could do worse. You could do much worse. Sorry, this review is kind of going on a little bit long, but like I said, happy Halloween. Please be safe. Myself, I'm just going to be handing out candy while scaring some children, which is always fun, even when it's not Halloween. But I'm going to be handing out some candy and doing this and that. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch any movies that night, because if anyone is on my Facebook, I've done over 139 movies so far. And I think Halloween might be my break. Even though I'm going to be busy, but it's going to be my break from watching movies. But if you like my channel, subscribe, comment. If you want to recommend anything for me to watch and review, let me know. I appreciate every single person that watches my reviews. But once again, happy Halloween from B Movie Madness. Thanks for watching.